friends. How are you today? Today is Thursday, May 14th, 2020, 5/14/2020. And I told you in this other Spanish video, which if you have not watched it yet, go ahead and check that one out after this because it is very similar to this, but in Spanish. I told you in that video that today am going to read you two different stories, one in Spanish and one in English. So the other video has a story in Spanish, which I think is a very fun story, so go ahead and check that out next. And now in English, I'm going to read us another story, and this one is about a person that we have studied and that we really learned a lot about this year. And I'm very excited to read this book because I know you all were very excited about learning about this person. And so this book is about Little Miss Ruby Bridges, who, if you remember, was the first Black child to go to an all-white school. She worked on desegregating the schools. Remember that segregated meant that the schools were separated for Black kids and for white kids, and she worked to mix them together. A very important job because, like we learned, because of Ruby Bridges, we are all able to go to school together. So I wanted to do one more story in English for us about this person who we all were very excited to learn about and who I love studying as well. So we have Ruby Bridges Goes to School, my true story. Ruby Bridges goes to school, my true story. A long time ago, some people thought that Black people and white people should not be friends. In some places, Black people were not allowed to live in the same neighborhoods as white people. In some places, Black people were not allowed to eat in the same restaurants as white people. And in some places, Black children and white children could not go to the same schools. This is called segregation. Remember, segregation means keeping people separate. The United States government said segregation is wrong. People should live where they want, people should eat where they want, and children should go to school where they want. My name is Ruby Bridges. In 1960, I went to kindergarten in a school for Black children. I liked my school. I liked my teacher. I liked my friends. But there was a school for white children even closer to my house than the school for Black children. It was the William Frantz Elementary School. The government said Ruby Bridges should be allowed to go to the William Frantz School. Do we agree? Yes or no? This school for white kids was closer to Ruby Bridges' house. It was easier for her to get to, and it gave the same learning. Should Ruby Bridges be allowed to go to this school? Yes or no? Yes. Let's find out what happened next. In 1961, I was in first grade. My mother took me to the French school. Marshals, who are people from the government, came with us to make sure that we were safe. Some people did not want a Black child to go to the white school. They stood near the school. They yelled at me to go away. Poor Ruby. Remember, we talked about how brave Ruby was, that even though all these people were saying mean things to her, she still went to school. She was still brave. She did what she needed to do. Parents took their children out of the school. I was alone with my teacher, Mrs. Henry. Remember, she was the only one in her class that day. I loved Mrs. Henry, and Mrs. Henry loved me. I was a very good student. I learned math, I learned how to read, and I wished the other children would come back. Here's a picture of Mrs. Henry, her teacher. Months and months passed. Then, one day, children began to come back to school. At last, I had friends to play with. I was very, very happy. Here's Ruby with her friends. Many people have read about me in newspapers and books. A famous writer, John Steinbeck, wrote about me. He wrote that I was very brave, just like we found out earlier in the year. A first lady means the wife of a president. So a first lady, Eleanor Roosevelt, wrote a letter to me. The letter told me that I was a good American. Norman Rockwell was an artist who painted a picture of me. The painting has become very famous. This picture that I'll show you now is a picture of the painting that man, Norman Rockwell, did of Ruby Bridges. See, it's of her walking into school with the people who are kind of like police, helping her go to school safely. It's a very famous painting. Now, I am grown up. I am married. I have children. One day, Mrs. Henry and I were both asked to be on a TV show. That was the first time we had seen each other in many years. Now, we talk to each other often. So I'll show you this picture. Ruby Bridges is all grown up now, and this is a picture of her with her first grade teacher, Mrs. Henry, when they're both adults. Now, black children and white children can go to the same school. I like to visit schools. I tell my story to children. I tell children that black people and white people can be friends. And most important, I tell children to be kind to each other. The end. Friends, thank you for listening to that story. I think that Ruby Bridges has been a really big inspiration for our class, meaning that she has taught us many important things. And like we talked about a little bit a couple minutes ago, Ruby Bridges taught us to be brave. And right now, we're kind of living in a time that's kind of scary and unknown. And I know that all of us have felt a little sad that we can't go back to school. Maybe we're missing our friends. Maybe we're a little scared of what's happening around us. But just like Ruby Bridges, we need to be brave, okay? We need to stay strong. We need to practice ways to calm ourselves down if we're feeling worried or if we're feeling unsure. We can take some deep breaths. Remember, like in the classroom, I ring the bell and we take 3 deep breaths. You can practice that at home. You can talk to your family if you're feeling stressed or you're feeling afraid. They're always there to listen to you. If you ever need to send me a message, I'm always here to listen and to talk to you guys as well. But even though things might be a little scary, things always get better. Just like for Ruby, things were scary at the beginning, but the more she went to school and the more that she got comfortable, things started to feel better. So when we spend a little time doing the things that are scary, we feel a little bit more comfortable, okay? And now in our situation, we might not be able to go to school together right now, but very soon we are hoping that we'll all be able to go back to school and be together in the place that we love to be. So thank you so much for listening to that story, friends. One other piece that I want to point out about Ruby Bridges is something that we are also very, very good at in our class. And I'm going to read the last sentence of the book again. It says, "And most important, I tell children to be kind to each other." Friends, you are some of the kindest people that I know. You're kind to each other, you're kind to adults, you're kind to other people who visit our school and our classroom. And even though we're not in our school and our classroom right now, that doesn't mean that we're gonna stop being kind, because in your houses, there are tons of people we can be kind to as well. We can be kind to our moms or our dads, we can be kind to brothers and sisters. Maybe we live or stay with a grandma or grandpa or an aunt or an uncle or some cousins. We can be kind to the animals in our house. We can even be kind to the nature outside by not throwing trash on the ground, that kind of things. So no matter where you are, there are a bunch of ways that we can all work on being kind. So today, I want you to put on your thinking hats. I want you to think of one way you can be kind to one person in your house. And I would love to know who you're going to be kind to today. Going to be kind to mom, to dad, to a brother or sister. I want you to do one kind thing for them, even if it's as simple as saying thank you for helping them with your schoolwork. That's being kind. It can be something bigger, like maybe helping mom or dad put out the plates for dinner, or put some laundry in the washing machine, or reading a story to a baby brother or sister. Find one way to be kind to someone in your house and make their day a lot brighter. Okay, friends, have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you later. Bye!